I'm Jean-Max Maurice, Creative Director on Remember Me. I'm one of the co-founders of the company, so I was one of the 5 guys that started Dontnod Entertainment late 2008, and so I was involved from the very first start.
Dontnod Entertainment was founded, I think, 5 years ago by 5 co-founders, and I joined them at first as a concept artist in the very beginning, like I was the 8th employee. And then we started to work on the concept with Alexis Briclot, which is the co-founder and other art director at the studio. And then they offered me the position to be a co-art director, so we were 2 art directors working on the project. And I'm working on this game since more than 4 years now.
They called me because I'm a sci-fi writer myself, so I'm quite used to work on the sci-fi universe, on creating sci-fi universe. And I'm also writing for the video game industry as a story writer for 15 years. So I guess I was the perfect match for the project.
I started working on this project 2 years ago when I first met with Jean-Max, the creative director, and he introduced me to the world of Remember Me, which was a positive world where in New Paris you had a society of control, but people accepted this control. It's not like something that people are against.
Remember Me is, really a multi-layered experience. That's something that I really wanted from the beginning, which is that there's this solid action-adventure, accessible base foundation, of combat and storytelling, and then there's this memory remix element that is a bit more, high level, and then there's all those ideas about Society 3.0 in 2084, Society of Surveillance.
When they called me to work on the project, they already knew that they were going to create a sci-fi universe, something that would have to deal with human memory management. That was the main idea of the project, in fact. We are going to create a universe where everyone and everything is related to memory management. In fact, every day we just ask ourselves the same question: is it related to memory? On how can we relate this feature in the game to memory?
There's been lots of influences on the game, but not on the game directly. Remember Me is made by a team of over 80 extremely passionate people, and they all have their influences, and that at some point it permeates through the game. And it's my job to keep it also Remember Me.
Of course, Blade Runner was a huge cornerstone in sci-fi design and science fiction movies. Or 2001 from Stanley Kubrick was also a huge achievement in sci-fi. Most of our inspiration we looked at everything from modern architecture, from furniture design, graphic design, motion design for websites, from contemporary art.
There's obviously parallels that you could draw to movies like Strange Days, like Memento, like Ghost in the Shell. We are a cyberpunk game, and there's probably a reason why we eventually were signed by a Japanese publisher. Some of the themes we touch upon, Japanese people have been eating for breakfast for 30 years, and it's not that easy. It was not that easy until quite recently to make them resonate with a Western audience, but that's really changing quickly.
All the cyberpunk culture and the major cyberpunk writers, guys like William Gibson and Bruce Sterling, and the guy I'm really fond of, the godfather of the cyberpunk culture, the guy called Norman Spinrad, who created, I guess, all the archetypes of the cyberpunk stories in the 70s.
Female character, why not? It's just, to me, it's just the same, and it just made sense. We didn't create her just to be different. Many people are wrong in thinking that only white male characters can succeed in the world of video games. This is 2012, and what movies have been able to do for the past 4, 5, or 10 decades, we should be able to now do in video games. There is just not just one market. There is not one target audience, you know, and people are able to relate to something that's different than them. So
the video game audience is changing. In France now we know that we have about half the players are female. So the old picture of the geeky guy, the teenage geeky guy playing is not accurate anymore.
First, the idea to use a female character was because we were dealing with the memory theme, and we had a lot of emotion and intimacy and intimate moments to convey through the game with the memory remixes, and memory is something very personal. So I think this was the main idea behind the fact that we chose a female character, so we could be more sensitive and more fragile. And
it was tough to deal with Nilin because she's a confused character and she's a female character. And as for the world itself, you know, it's in Paris, and Paris is a beautiful, elegant city. And we wanted the music to be elegant, so that's why also we went to record a live orchestra, the Philharmonia Orchestra in London, because we wanted to have some sort of, you know, the cultural sense of Paris. We didn't want to, you know, play this card of, oh, she's hurt and we want to be like, oh, crying with her. No, not at all. It's just that she's a strong female character, but she's confused.
Since we are a French company, when we decided to choose a place to tell the story of Nilin, it was much more easier for us to pick Paris because we live in Paris, we know the city quite well. And it was intriguing and interesting for us to take this city and try to imagine what it could be in 70 years. And it was also quite funny to imagine that the city could have been hit by different catastrophes and disasters, and keep some part of the cities as relics from the past, historic neighborhood, and other part of the city could be brand new.
What inspired the creation of Paris is, first of all, Paris, you know, what it is today, you know, what makes it Paris, what makes it different from other cities in the world. It was about keeping this traditional and typical Parisian architecture and then bringing it to the next level, you know, building bigger than life sci-fi structures on top of it. And what I really like in the game is when you walk at street level and you really feel like it's Paris if you know the city, but then when you look up, you know, it becomes really like, wow.
we really wanted to keep the feeling of Paris, since we wanted to build a believable near future. We really wanted to keep the foundation and what makes the art of the city. We tried to keep this and to build the sci-fi elements on top of it, like if you just, for example, change the window but kept the stone border of the window, but you change the material, the glass.
It's been very interesting to see the art team work on this, and of course from our first demo you could say that you know, a big influence was Blade Runner, and it is, of course. But what you'll see in the game is that we have many different moods, and so there are different lighting, different times in the day, different weather types, so it's really not just that, although that's, you know, it's something that everybody dreams of matching.